Hi everyone, I'm Abigail Parrish. I'm one of the senior lecturers here at BG, and I do a lot of research into motivation and well-being in the classroom, particularly with a focus on language learning. But I use a theory called self-determination theory in my work, which can be applied to all areas of life. It's a very broad theory originating in psychology, and it's been applied to education, to language learning, to sports coaching, sports education, parenting, organisational behaviour, all sorts of different areas of life. And it tells us a lot about well-being and motivation. There are three basic needs that sit within self-determination theory, basic psychological needs. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those and how they relate to well-being in the sense of thriving, and how they relate to autonomous and controlled motivation, which is two things that are very important within the theory. So these three needs, if we start off, we can think about competence as one of those needs. And according to the theory, in order to thrive, we need to feel that we are competent in the things that we're being asked to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be competent, but we need to feel that way. So if we take an example, perhaps at Christmas, you have a son, and your son and you might both be given a Rubik's Cube. And you might both sit down on Boxing Day and have a go at this Rubik's Cube. And you might have a look at it and mess about with it a bit, twist it around a bit and think, do you know what, I've got no idea how to do this. This is not something I'm competent to do. I'm going to put it away. I'm not going to get involved with that. Whereas your son might look at it and think, interesting. This seems like a challenge that I can rise to. Mess about with it a bit, maybe put it down, come back to it the next day, and keep persevering, keep continuing with engaging with that, and then eventually perhaps solve it or not, but be engaged and want to take part in that activity because it's something that he feels competent to do. And he feels, in this hypothetical example, that this is aligned with something that he thinks is important. He might not have thought that in advance, he might not have wanted the Rubik's Cube, but having been given to him, he's now engaged with it and thinking, this aligns with things that I think are important because I want to understand this puzzle. And so regardless of the fact that it's been given to him by somebody else, which you might see as something controlled, he's feeling autonomous in doing it. He's feeling that actually it's in line with his values, and that's how we see autonomy within self-determination theory. Not necessarily independence, and we're not talking about giving everybody free choice over everything so that we have anarchy. We're certainly not looking at that. We're looking at things that are in line with your values and that you feel that are coming from you. It's a choice that you feel that's coming from you. And that's one of the really key elements of the theory. The other basic psychological need is relatedness, and that's to do with having positive relationships, meaningful positive relationships with the people around you. So feeling that they understand you, they care about you, they have your interests at heart. These three needs, competence, autonomy and relatedness, are absolutely critical, absolutely central to self-determination theory. And if you think about your own experiences, your own life, you will find, no doubt, that these are things that resonate. Whether you were able to put a name to them or not, they're things that you've experienced and that you know when those needs are satisfied, those are good days. When you feel that you're being asked to do things that you're capable of, when you feel you're surrounded by people who care about you, and when you feel that you're able to do things that align with your own values or that you've chosen to do, those are good days. When you're being asked to do things by people maybe you feel don't have your best interests at heart, or you're being asked to do things that you don't think are within your capabilities, those are days that are perhaps less good. And what we need to do is make sure that we can create the conditions around ourselves where we can have those good days, where we can thrive. And that's what we mean by well-being within self-determination theory. So things like SLT bringing cake on a Friday is not on its own going to cut it. The fact that they care enough to do that, and if you can perceive that, that's a positive. But there's more to it than that. Well-being is not something that we can perform, if you like. It's something that we have to feel and that has to be in line with our own internal values. And the last thing I want to just remind you of, perhaps, because I think teachers often need reminding of this, is that although we do what we do for our students, if we are not looking after ourselves, we can't look after them. The classroom is a system. It's a complex, dynamic, moving system, or a network, and the teacher is at the very centre of that. And if the teacher is off kilter, then the whole network, the whole system goes off kilter. So please make sure that you look after yourself to enable you to look after your students.